How much power can one signature hold? Across history, a few strokes of a pen have ended wars, freed millions, and reshaped civilization itself. Every president faces choices, but some decisions didn't just change a nation, they changed the world. These are the 10 moments when the Oval Office altered human history. Number 10. Nixon signs the Clean Air Act. The 1960s ended in chaos. Protests, war, and pollution thick enough to choke American cities. Yet amid the turmoil, one unlikely environmentalist emerged, Richard Nixon. He wasn't known for compassion or ecology, but in 1970, he signed the most sweeping environmental law in U.S. history, the Clean Air Act, and created the Environmental Protection Agency. Factories warned of collapse, industry lobbied furiously, but Nixon pressed on. The result was the first nationwide limits on emissions, a model soon copied around the world. He would later be remembered for Watergate, but this decision changed something no scandal could erase: the very air humanity breathes. Number 9. Truman desegregates the military. 3 years after World War II, millions of black veterans returned from fighting fascism abroad, only to face segregation at home. President Harry Truman saw the hypocrisy and decided to act. He issued Executive Order 9981, abolishing racial segregation in the U.S. Armed Forces. It was politically dangerous. Southern Democrats revolted. But Truman held firm, saying, "I am asking for equality of treatment and opportunity for all who serve our country." The order began a process that took years, but its impact was irreversible. When soldiers of every color fought side by side, it became impossible to deny equality at home. Truman had taken the first step toward a civil rights revolution. Number 8. Eisenhower sends troops to Little Rock. 9 teenagers, and a nation's conscience. In Little Rock, Arkansas, segregationists blocked black students from entering Central High School. The state's governor defied federal law, daring Washington to intervene. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, a former 5-star general, made his choice. He federalized the Arkansas National Guard and sent the 101st Airborne Division to escort the students inside. Bayonets fixed, soldiers guarded children as angry crowds screamed behind them. The world saw America preaching freedom abroad while battling hate at home. But Eisenhower's stand drew a line that could not be crossed again. The federal government would defend justice, even from its own citizens. Number 7. Kennedy creates the Peace Corps. The Cold War divided the world into armed camps. John F. Kennedy saw another way to fight, not with weapons, but with service. He created the Peace Corps, sending young Americans to teach, build, and heal across developing nations. Skeptics called it naive. Yet within months, volunteers were on the ground in Ghana, India, and the Philippines. Their classrooms and clinics spoke louder than propaganda ever could. America's image shifted from conqueror to partner. In a world bracing for conflict, Kennedy's quiet army of volunteers became an emblem of hope. Number 6. Kennedy commits to the moon. The Soviets had beaten America into space. Yuri Gagarin's orbit stunned the world and humiliated Washington. Then John F. Kennedy stepped before Congress and made a promise that seemed impossible.
The exploration of space will go ahead, whether we join in it or not. And it is one of the great adventures of all time.
To land a man on the moon and return him safely to the Earth. He had no spacecraft, no roadmap, and no guarantee of success.
Yet the vows of this nation can only be fulfilled if we in this nation are first, and therefore we intend to be first.
But the challenge ignited a generation. 8 years later, Apollo 11 touched down on the lunar surface. For one brief moment, the world looked up. Not in fear, but in wonder. The moon landing proved that ambition could reach beyond war, and science could unite where politics divide. We're only halfway through. So far, we've seen how one signature can save lives, and how one vision can lift humanity beyond the clouds. But history's next chapters carry far higher stakes, decisions that tested morality, power, and the limits of survival itself. If you've made it this far into history, take a second to like this video. It helps others discover these stories, and it tells us to keep uncovering the choices that shape the world we live in. Because the next 5 decisions didn't just shape nations, they redrew the map of the modern world. Number 5. Johnson signs the Civil Rights Act. A century after Lincoln's proclamation, equality was still only a promise. Then President Lyndon B. Johnson, a Southern politician, stunned his own allies. He signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and, soon after, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, outlawing segregation and protecting the right to vote. He knew the cost. His party would fracture. His base would revolt.
And if courage remains our constant companion, then, my fellow Americans, I am confident we shall overcome.
Still, he said, we shall overcome. Those laws reshaped American democracy and inspired movements worldwide. From Selma to South Africa, people saw proof that justice could prevail through law, not war. Johnson didn't just change America, he gave freedom a global voice. Number 4. Truman launches the Marshall Plan. Europe lay in ruins. Cities reduced to rubble, millions homeless, hunger everywhere. Many in Washington wanted to retreat across the Atlantic. But Harry Truman chose the opposite. He approved the Marshall Plan, an unprecedented effort to rebuild Europe with American aid. $13 billion flowed overseas, restoring economies, stabilizing democracies, and stopping communism's spread. From that generosity came alliances, trade, and a new idea of leadership based on rebuilding, not revenge. Truman didn't just win peace. He designed the world order that still defines us today. Number 3. Nixon opens China. For 25 years, the United States and China had lived in silence, divided by ideology and fear. Then, in 1972, Richard Nixon broke the ice. He flew to Beijing and shook hands with Mao Zedong. It was a scene few thought possible. In 1 week, Nixon reshaped global power. The Soviet Union was isolated, China re-entered the world stage, and the path opened for economic reforms that would transform the planet. A single diplomatic gamble rewired the century and set the course for the one we live in now. Number 2. Lincoln issues the Emancipation Proclamation. Amid the Civil War's carnage, Abraham Lincoln faced an impossible choice: preserve the Union as it was or redefine it forever. On January 1st, 1863, he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring freedom for those enslaved in the rebellious states. The war's purpose changed overnight, from preservation to liberation. European powers withdrew support for the Confederacy. A moral cause replaced mere politics. And for millions, the words on that paper became a doorway to freedom. Lincoln would not live to see the dream fulfilled, but his decision sent a shockwave that reached every corner of the world. Number 1. Truman drops the atomic bomb. August 1945. The war in the Pacific dragged on. Japan refused to surrender. President Harry Truman faced a decision no human being had ever faced before. He could invade, at the cost of perhaps 1 million lives, or unleash a weapon capable of ending civilization. He chose the latter. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were destroyed in moments. The war ended, and the world entered the nuclear age. From that day forward, humanity's survival would depend on restraint. Truman's order didn't just end one war. It began a new era defined by fear, balance, and the hope that such power would never be used again. Every president swears to preserve, protect, and defend. But history remembers them for the moments they risked everything instead. Each decision carried a question no one could fully answer. Would this make the world safer or more dangerous? Freer or more fragile? History is not only written by power, but by the courage and the consequences of those who wield it. If you had to live through one of these decisions, which would you choose or fear the most? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more stories that changed the course of the world.